So I'm trying something new here, and I'm really hoping you guys like it, but I'm kind of excited about it. Hi guys, it's April, and instead of doing my standard monthly wrap-ups in which I talk about all the books that I've read for the whatever month we just finished, I've decided to switch it up a little bit and maybe make more bite-sized review videos for you guys, and maybe lump some books that I've read together that kind of fit in similar kind of themes. The idea here is that I can talk about books quicker with you guys, and things are still fresh in my brain, and I'm not scrambling to talk about 15 books all at once, because I have a tendency to do that and it's not fun. So I was thinking that for every 3 books that kind of fit together, I would sit down and I would talk to you guys about them. So this is my first of those 3 book reviews, and this time around I'm kind of hitting the fairy tale fantasy kind of vibe here. So the first book that I want to talk about is The Princess Will Save You by Sarah Henning. This is a story of Am, who is the princess of a very warlike kind of kingdom. One day her father is killed. She is convinced that it was murder, and through a series of events she is kind of forced into a marriage that she isn't really that thrilled about. A lot of people have talked about this book as being like The Princess Bride, but with a couple of role reversals, hence the title. I do see elements of The Princess Bride in this. Luca is the stable boy. Then we of course have the Princess Am. She is very much willing to stand up for herself, but she is still finding out about the ways of the world because she has been sheltered, even though she does have all of this fighting training. And then we have a lot of side characters that it fit very much into some of those bumbling characters that you come across in The Princess Bride. And so I did like all of those little elements thrown in there. However, I wasn't too excited about the story as a whole. There were parts of the story where the princess, she wasn't really someone I enjoyed reading about. And then Luca had this very passive role that the love between the 2 characters just kind of was assumed, and it was never really built up in a way that I believed how strong it was and how much trust and faith they had in each other. It seemed to come out of nowhere. We really had no reference for why it was that way. And I wanted that because that is the main point of this story and why all of these things keep falling out the way they do. And you don't ever really feel that. I mean, you keep having the characters say things like that, but you were never really shown it. This book is a first in a series. I don't know if I'm going to continue on with the rest of the series. I can kind of guess, given where the book ended, how the rest of it is going to go. But overall, I'm not really too excited about it. The next read I want to talk about is an Audible exclusive audiobook, and this one is One More Upon a Time by Roshani. This is the story of a prince and a princess from their own fairy tales who have wed, but because of an illness and wanting to save his queen, Imelda and Ambrose decide to give up their love for each other. So they have a year and a day as king and queen, but because there is no love, they are forced to give up their kingdom. So they are going back to her original kingdom to drop her off and marriage annul and all that kind of stuff. And you have a bunch of quirky things that happen. And of course, this is a romance. So things kind of lead up to each other. Normally, I like this kind of read. It is a cute, just candy kind of read, and I enjoy those from time to time, but this one was cheesy in a way I didn't find a lot of enjoyment in, and I think because it was an audiobook and it did have some of these like overused sound effects that just drove me nuts, and the way the character sounded, I did not find a lot of enjoyment out of it. This would have been so perfect if it had been a book and it was something that I just wanted to take with me to the swimming pool or the beach and just devour it within like an hour or so. But there was just too much cheese, and there was a horse cloak that I just could not get behind because of just certain characteristics and personality traits of said horse cloak, there wasn't a lot of enjoyment for me. And then lastly, I want to talk about this book right here, The Glass Queen by Gena Showalter. This is book 2 in what I'm calling her Enchantia series. She has started this YA series set in the world of Enchantia, the first book being The Evil Queen, and then of course you get a little bit of a continuation of that story arc, but a whole bunch of new characters and a new story in this one, The Glass Queen. It is the story of Ashley, whose mother is trying to save her and therefore kind of forces a prophecy on her. But in doing so, she becomes possessed by another being called Leonora. Ashley has a heart condition, so she's always been considered the glass queen. And then on top of that, she has the prophecy of Cinderella spoken over her. So in this world, a lot of fairy tales are used as prophecy that kind of guide the path of the characters who live here. And so Ashley has never really gotten a lot of love from her father, and then her mother passes away and she's kind of pushed off to the side. At the same time, we have Saxon, who is an avian, a ruler in his own right, sees Ashley as an enemy. And so this is kind of an enemy to love kind of story, which I very much appreciated. Here, we have a story about a girl who doesn't understand what's going on with herself, but has an inner strength, even if she doesn't have physical strength. And then you have this very war-hardened character, Saxon, who slowly kind of starts to mellow out, which is nice to see. Interplaying through all of this, we have Ashley's father, who never really loved her, but has remarried. Ashley now has some step siblings, and of course, the king has put out a challenge for her stepsister's hand in marriage. This all culminates in a whole bunch of people vying for power, and there are dragons within this story, which I think sold this story more than anything else was those dragons. I did a live show with Shay over at Shay Geeks Out where we talk about this book because we chose it for our Tell It Again book club. If you want to know some spoiler thoughts about this one, I will say that I enjoyed this book a lot more than I enjoyed the first book. I found the romance a little bit more palatable than the first one, and things laid out a little bit better for me in this one. So those are 3 fantasy fairy tales that I have currently read. Let me know down below what you're currently reading. I would love to know. And of course, if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe down below, hit that bell, get all of those notifications. And I do have a membership program if you feel like joining me. I have special incentives attached to all of those. The information is down below, but feel no obligation to join. I thought I'd let you guys know. Otherwise, I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.